Hi, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at this 2022 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. It's the road and track version, so it's the upgraded model. So without further ado, let's get to it and show you what's in here. All right, now we're going to do a quick walk around the vehicle. So you can see this is the all black color, and we have the road and track version with the upgrades for the look. So you can see the the rims are black. So it's like the old blackout package they used to have. So it's a rather stylish vehicle for a minivan. You can see it's pretty updated model. And again, this is the plug-in hybrid. We'll just circle around the driver's side here. Here we are in the driver's seat. And I just want to show you what you see from the driver's point of view. So we have obviously the gas gauge is all the way to the right there, and we have maybe an eighth of a tank left right now because with our normal usage, we don't use gas that often. So we did let it get a little lower right now compared to where we'd usually refill it, but we still have 80 miles, as you can see on the display right here, of total range, and that's currently 26 miles of electric, which is at 92%, and we have another 54 miles of gas, which is just below the 80 there, the 54. So 80 total miles, with the bulk of those still being gas at this point. The 26-mile range for electric is at 92%. We typically get about, say, low 30s range out of electric only before it switches over to gas. There are a few instances where it switches to gas earlier. That would be when it's really cold out, or if there's some, hard acceleration, then you do have the gas kick in during those times. So, for the most part, if you don't have those particular situations, you go about 30 couple miles on electric only before you move over to the gas. The other item I wanted to talk about, if you watched my video regarding the Chevy Volt that we have with a V, you saw that there were paddles over here on the side of the Chevy Volt. This vehicle does not have any extra paddles for the regenerative braking. So you get the regenerative braking from the normal driving, but you can't, pull a paddle to really increase it. So that is maybe one negative about this vehicle in comparison to the Chevy Volt. The one thing I will say that makes up a little bit for it is that you do have the shifter knob here. And so you have the park, reverse, neutral, drive, and low. But the low you can actually drive in all the time, and it creates a slightly higher regenerative braking, setup within the vehicle. So I do recommend driving in that. And we actually do typically drive in that low setting to get that a little more aggressive regenerative braking. We, like I said, moved over. We had a Chevy Volt, but we actually moved over to a Tesla as well, and that has the one true, one pedal driving there. So this isn't as good as that, but it helps when you put it on that low to get a little bit more of the regenerative and slowing you down that way and recollecting the energy rather than wasting it. A couple other items I want to point out that I really like about this vehicle are that it has adaptive cruise control, which works really well, especially in highway situations where you want to use cruise, but you want the vehicle to handle if the vehicle's in front of you slows down a little bit. You don't have to take it out of cruise control. It'll automatically slow down, and you can adjust it based on the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, and then that shows up here on the display off to the right, and lets you see how far back it is. 1, 2, or 3 lines, I think, is the normal setup that it shows, 3 being the furthest back and 1 being the closest to the vehicle in front of you. In addition to that, it does have, you can see here on the dash right now, it shows the lane keep. So if you have it in the highway, and if you're on the highway and you have the lane keep on and you have the adaptive cruise control, it's certainly not autonomous, but it'll give you, a huge step in the right direction there. where it'll handle the speeds. And if sway a little bit off to the side, it can help you out and make sure you're staying in your lane there. I know certainly when you're on some of those long drives, everybody does their best to avoid being tired, but I think it naturally makes folks sleepy. So trying to prevent any potential accidents there, that's really a huge help. So I really like the adaptive cruise control paired with the lane keep that they have on this setup, and they both seem to work really, really well in this vehicle. In addition to some of the other items that I actually don't think work as well in the Tesla. For example, this has the automatic headlights, which I think actually work better on this 2022 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid than what they actually work on the Tesla. And additionally, the automatic windshield wipers actually work better on the Chrysler, in my opinion, than what the Tesla does at this time. And again, the Tesla gets updates frequently. So this is as of today when I'm recording this, but next week we could have an update and it may change my opinion on that. But as of right now, the 2022 from the factory Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid has better headlights for automatic headlights for the high beams as well as the windshield wiper control. All right, now let's get into the infotainment center of the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. You can see that it does have CarPlay natively in the infotainment center. And then we're going to jump over here to the vehicle options. And you can see it actually has the surround camera, which I prefer, this total surround view to a lot of other vehicles. And it also has the rear view. And you can switch the views here as well. So really good outside cameras and the full 360 bird's eye view that it shows. And I'm going to jump over and show you the fam cam, which is actually really neat. If you have, children, this is the second row here, the third row. You can actually click on any position, any of the seats, and zoom right to that seat on the right hand side. So if you have, a troublemaker in one of the seats, you can jump to them and figure out what's going on and make sure you're monitoring them as needed. And you can actually go into this view while you're driving, and it allows you to make sure that you don't have to turn around and look back. There's also a convex mirror above, so you can see more of what's going on around you as well if you aren't in this particular view and you need a quick glance. So jump back out of here and flip over to the electrical vehicle information. The first thing we come to here is the power flow, so you can see where the energy is coming from. So right now the engine's off, but the vehicle is on, and we have 1 kilowatt hour, 1 kilowatt being pulled currently from the battery, and there's no climate on or anything like that. So you can see, where is the power coming from to handle what's being used, and it shows you the flow over here as well. In the driving history, you can see how many miles were driven and where the power was coming from. This is one that I would take with a grain of salt, because I think a lot of the things that Chrysler did with this design minimized the amount that it looks like you're using the fuel, and maximized what it looks like the battery is going to give you. So as you can see here on Friday, it indicates that we had battery usage and engine usage, where actually that battery usage is the regen that it's showing the mileage from. So I had about 25, almost 25 miles, we'll say, of regen on my trip. Because I did drive, a full 100 miles, maybe a couple more on Friday. And if you add those two together, you can see, that gets up to 100 miles or a little more in this instance. But I did start that with 0% in the battery. So that is all from regen, where you can see over here on Monday, I did have a charge when I started. I don't recall if it was a full charge or not, but I drove, over 30 miles since I had left there. So certainly, there's a little bit of regen in there. And then on Sunday, again, I knew we had a full charge for that drive. So we did drive, say 30 couple miles on electric before it switched over to gas, and then it does a regen and uses that where it can. So that was the driving history. You can also, there's a regen history, but it doesn't show a whole lot here. How many kilowatts you're able to pull back from the regen through coasting and braking, as it indicates here, and this shows you the last 2 weeks. And then on the schedules, we have time of use electric that we're signed up for where I live. So it's cheapest for us from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. But I wanted to set it up so that if we plug it in and it's really an off-peak time, it can charge before it gets to the peak time, which is really 2 to 9 for us. So we have shoulder periods from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. And then weekends are all, the shoulder, the off peak is what they call it here, or the super off peak is what they call, the cheapest here. But I have it ideally scheduling at 11 p.m. and then charging up till it's full, which, might take a couple hours. You can see right now we're at 89%, it says, and it says it'll be about 2 hours if you used level 1, but we have a 240 level 2 charger, says it's 15 minutes is what we'd have right now for our 11%. And they just round those typically. It's not usually by the minute. I want to say it takes maybe 2 to 3 hours to fully charge. I think this is about a 16 kilowatt hour battery on this vehicle, and that's using 240, and we have it hooked up at a 40 amp on a 50 amp breaker. So the charger set up at 40 amp, the 80% there. So we have that set up and working well, but I don't even think this vehicle actually pulls the full 40 amps when it's connected there. But this is a quick overview of what you can find within the infotainment center of the 2022 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Now what we're looking at are the back seats, and this is actually my favorite part of this vehicle. As it is with any minivan, you have all of the space. So one thing to make note of is there is no stow and go because of the battery placement for the electric vehicle portion of this vehicle. So it is underneath the second row seats. But what happens then is that they upgrade the seats and the cushions are higher level and comfier and everything. So you actually get better second row seats here because of that. But they do not stow and go. So what they do is they actually come out of the vehicle. So you fold them down on top of themselves, and then you can disengage them from underneath, and then you can actually lift them out of the vehicle and sit them aside if you need that space for something else. So that this area is my favorite space. You have the lay flat area behind the front row, so you can pull the second row out, and then the back row do go down into the floor behind them to create a flat area where you can lay 4x8 drywall completely flat here in this vehicle. You also, what we like to do is vacation, and we're big Southwest fans. So what we tend to do is pull out those middle row seats, and we have five, total people in the vehicle, the three in the back row plus the two front seats, and we can easily fit 10 large suitcases in this vehicle with a stroller. So lots of space there. And then, while you're doing that, you're getting the 30 couple miles of electric. And if you can charge anywhere, you can get additional electric, sometimes even for free. No cost to you, that is. Or, including your hotel stay or whatnot, or, relatively cheap charging other places. And then once you do exhaust all your charging, you still get the 30 some miles per gallon that we typically get within this vehicle. So lots of benefits there, but you have this huge amount of storage space in this vehicle. Again, we can fit the five people plus all of our stuff easily in this vehicle. All right, now I'm going to go around and show you from the side doors and from the trunk as well, all the space that we're talking about. All right, here we are in the second row, and you can see all this space I was talking about. This front seat is all the way back, for our entry, and we still have plenty of space here, and there's still plenty of space for the third row back there. You can see we also have the integrated shades in the windows for the back rows, so that's really nice. Something else that I failed to mention when we were in the front row was this sunroof. So you can see, the front's totally open there, and then this middle section, I have, the glass at, and that fully extends back. So there's a good view from front or second row. Even the third row, you can see out some from that, depending on your height there. So that's a really, really neat feature, really nice, and really opens things up on, a minivan setup here. One other item in the second row is that they both have integrated monitors with Fire TVs built in. So you can see there's screens. This one's not on right now, but we have screens on both the front seats for the second row passengers. And we typically have our cell phones connected. I don't have my hotspot on right now. That's why you can see no internet connection offline. We don't have it connected to the house Wi-Fi, but certainly really neat to have the Fire TV with the remotes and everything integrated within the vehicle. Also in the second row, you have full climate control here as well. So you can control your own climate and set it as you desire so that it's independent of the front. And then the front, both the driver and passenger are independent as well. So there's actually 3 total zones. All right, now we're here at the back, and you can see how much space is back here. Tons of space in here. And I'm going to show you what it's like to put the seats down and what it looks like after that. So you pull the levers, and they're actually numbered. So you have one, then there, I pulled one a little more, and then two, and it folds right down in. And again, we have one, and then pull two, folds right down in. And that's how easy it is to put those down and get that nice flat space. We grab those 2 other seats out of the vehicle, and you have nice flat space. If you have building materials or whatever else you need to haul around, really large area for that. And putting the seats up is pretty much just as easy. You grab these and pull it up and lock it in, and then locks in. And you do the same thing on this side and pull it up, and you can flip the headrests up, and you're good to go to travel with 7 people in it. All right, here we are in the engine compartment of the 2022 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. And you can see you do have the gas engine over here that creates, power. Think of a generator type setup where it's, creating power and can be used eventually for electric as well when it regens and that type of thing. And then over here, you can see the high voltage. You see those orange cables in the engine compartment here to signify the high voltage cabling for the electric motor coming from the battery and potentially from the charge port as well. So I just wanted to give you a quick view of what it looks like. It doesn't look that abnormal from under a typical hood. The gas engine, is smaller than what you're going to see in a lot of gas vehicles, a lot of ICE vehicles, if you will. But, generally speaking, you got a lot of the same things because you do have that gas engine. It's much different than a normal or a full electric vehicle, I should say, not a normal, but a full electric vehicle. All right, I also want to show you how easy it is to charge the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. So you pop open the charge port, you take the charger. In this instance, we have a Grizzly branded charger. I'll have the link in the description below in case you're interested in this one. This is a great charger. I really like it. We used it for our Volt, our Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, as well as our Tesla. So we've used it for all of our vehicles that utilize electric for the drive. And you take this and you plug it in, and assuming you have all the settings so that it'll charge anytime you plug it in, it charges immediately. I have special settings on it for our time of use, so it's actually not going to charge right now because we're outside of our super off-peak billing time period. So to save money, it's going to delay it, and that's all programmable within the vehicle. But what you do is, you let it charge, and then when you're ready to go, all you got to do is grab it, unplug it, close it, and jump in, and you have a full charge for your drive. It's that simple.